Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey Alex, how are we doing today?
I'm doing alright, how about you?
I am sad.
Why is that?
I know this episode is going to air a little later than we're recording it, but they just announced the closing of the Schmaltz Brewery, which made the Star Trek beer that we tried for the Symbiosis episode.
That is it's very sad. That is very sad.
Yep. Thank God I still have some Klingon Porter that I can hoard onto and maybe sell it for a pretty penny one day.
Perhaps. You should also be happy because you got your birthday present from me today.
I did.
It's good.
I did. It was nice.
Very
happy to add it to my collection.
I borderline thought about getting one for myself, to be completely honest.
Oh, why don't you?
I probably should. I got Nick The Sound of Silver on vinyl by LCD Sound System, which is a very good album.
It's one of my favorite albums of all time, so I'm very happy I'll be able to spin that soon.
But we're not here to talk about Sound of Silver, which I'm sure we'd both rather discuss. Instead, we're talking about the episode The Dauphin.
Welcome to the Enterprise. I'm Captain Picard.
This is Salia of Dalet 4.
I didn't feel a thing. Is that normal when one is transported, Captain?
Oh, yes, it is.
Those must be the matter-energy conversion controls. May I take a look?
Yes, of course.
I could arrange for a tour of the ship if you'd like.
Oh, I'd love that.
No, that will not be necessary. Just show us to our quarters, Captain Picard.
Very well.
Nick, what did you think of The Dauphin?
In comparison to A Measure of a Man, this episode was a sad measure of a boy.
That's fair. That's very fair. This episode was one of the similar to the one a couple weeks ago, which was the Dr. Pulaski gets sick from the hot dude's disease. This episode is one where functionally nothing was broken from a storytelling standpoint, but it hinged on us following a character that we fucking hate, and so therefore we didn't care about anything in the episode because we hate everything. What happens is, this seems to happen in every episode, season 1 to 2, Picard and the Enterprise need to go pick up someone who's going to negotiate a peace treaty between two peoples. This time, it's a lady who is born of her mother and father were of the two disparate factions on this planet, and she's going to go negotiate the peace treaty because she can, I guess. But while they're taking her to the planet, her and Wesley have eyes for each other. They're checking each other out, and they decide they want to start hanging out and eat chocolate mousse without a spoon. And
yeah, Zoe, I agree.
Yeah, Zoe had a lot to say about that. Now, her bodyguard Anya does not have this. She's very protective of this lady.
It was really cool that he get Professor McGonagall in this episode to do what she does best.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, she didn't do her best. But basically, it turns out she's a shape-shifting monster, and she can turn into a monster. But then twist,
like Professor McGonagall.
Like Professor McGonagall, yes. Except she didn't turn into a cute little cat. She turned into a big, furry. She turned into a wild thing. Basically, we now know where the wild things are because she turns into a wild thing.
It literally looks like one.
But then twist, when the girl comes to go kiss Wesley, after the wild thing comes to attack her, she turns into a different monster, and Wesley's like, "Ew, I don't like you anymore. You're lied to me about being a human." And then
Wesley's racist.
Because Wesley's racist, and also he's a brat. And then she goes, "It's okay. I'm gonna go leave to negotiate this treaty. Watch me turn into a pile of light before I transport away." And then Wesley's sad because he's like, "I'm never gonna love anyone ever again," because he's overly dramatic. And Guinan's like, yeah, you're right. You're not ever going to like anyone like this ever again. And then he's like, that doesn't make me feel better at all. And she's like, sorry, kid. I'm going to go think about Riker after we flirted for a little bit. And that's the episode.
Let's talk about that part.
Let's lead into...
where Riker is trying to show Wesley how to talk to women.
Yes.
And just dragged Whoopi Goldberg into this. I loved it. I want to see the two flesh it out, so to speak.
Especially because the scene started with a Riker sit.
Yep. Totally a big turn on.
Yep.
For anyone.
Good lead-in.
And what got me fully paying attention is that Wesley tried to interrupt, and Whoopi Goldberg just snaps at him, saying what we all wanted to say.
Yep.
Shut up, boy.
Shut up, kid. I like hearing Riker...
Shut up, boy. Shut up, kid. I was happy about it.
I like hearing Riker compliment my eyes.
Yeah, he is a dreamy McDreamster with his nice beard and his way of talking.
Yeah. Riker...
He had me going.
He's the new Captain Kirk. He just likes to bang.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. So let's take it back to the beginning of this episode, which, just for the record, there's a problem with the beginning of this episode. If you remembered the end of this episode, Celia is the girl's name, and at the end of the episode, she says, I can't transport in my humanoid form. I have to turn to a pile of light, even though she transported onto the ship as a human, not a pile of light. So
maybe she turned into a human after she was transported initially. I highly doubt that.
Nope, I think it was the writers came up with that at the last minute.
And no one checked it.
But anyway, she comes onto this ship and immediately has eyes for Wesley, who also has eyes for her. Overall, I think this... The big failing is how seriously the show took the romance. Because I thought what would have made this episode work way more is if every member of the crew sort of laughed at Wesley and was like, oh, teen romance, I remember that. As opposed to Geordi like, yeah, man, listen, you're going through some shit right now. Take the day off. Go ahead. And
yeah,
like
I've been at work personally, getting distracted about a girl I fancied. And you know what? No one ever told me to take the day off. And that just pissed me off, because that would never happen, ever.
Can you imagine just us in middle school, just never having to go to middle school because we were all just Wesleying all the time?
I know, but at school is where we were Wesleying, If we had to take school off, we wouldn't have any of the girls to talk to.
That's true.
Because that's where all the girls were.
That's true.
Which, just on a segue, I never understood why people didn't like school. Besides the class and stuff, but you're with your friends, and you saw the girls.
Once I learned to stop caring about other people, I had a great time in school. The last 3 years of high school, to me, I really enjoyed because I stopped giving a shit about fucking anything, like personality-wise.
But that's middle school, brainwashes you into thinking that way, even though it's like the stereotype, like, hey, you're going through the changes and all this nonsense, you have to be the certain way, even though it's really, they never tell you, just be who you want to be and you're going to be fine, because no one really gives a shit.
Yes.
And the people who do give a shit, everyone realizes, hey, that's kind of weird that you're doing that.
Yeah. That being said, I think you and I had a little bit of an atypical high school experience from most people. Every time I talk to someone about high school, everyone says we had a weird experience. But that's besides the point. Moral of the story is...
We'll talk about that later.
Moral of the story is Wesley got off because he was horny. And that's bullshit.
And the only time I get off when I'm horny is when I'm in the act.
Ah. So yeah, I think the amount of the amount of seriousness that was given to this romance was the big failing of this episode.
Because he had to talk to every single person about it. He talked to Data and told Data to shut up, which I was very upset about. And then he talked to Worf, and Worf got really creepy.
And he also, just for the record, that is incorrect what he said. Klingon women don't throw objects. It becomes established in later canon that Klingons bite the person that they're trying to mate with. They bite them on the face. So the throwing objects turns out to be not real in Star Trek. But that's besides the point.
Maybe Worf was in a bad relationship.
Maybe that was just the one. I mean, he does actually, spoiler alert, Worf does have a son that you don't know about yet.
I
So
think he was in an abusive relationship and she was just throwing stuff at him. And he just reconciled to think that was a regular thing.
yeah. So yeah, overall, that was just, I mean, he goes, Guinan, LaForge. Luckily, he doesn't seek out advice. First of all, okay, hold on. First of all, he doesn't ask any of the women on this ship. Granted, there's only 2 female characters, and one of them's a racist. He doesn't ask them, hey, girl, what would you like as a guy if a guy were to approach you? He just asks the advice of men, which is also dumb of him. But it was just...
Well, that's also what we do as men. We do the same thing. You ask your guy friends, hey, what should I do about this? And they always give you bad advice.
Yeah, that's why I've never asked you. That was a sick burn. That was a sick burn.
I just assumed that you were celibate.
I have no comeback for that one. It's not what I was expecting you to say.
Oh God. Okay, let's move on.
Anyway, so that's the big problem with that particular element of the story is everyone treats this like it's true love, and everyone expects it to be true love when they shouldn't, because it's stupid. The other component is this overly protective mother figure. Realistically, I don't understand why there had to be the entire fucking subplot of they turn into monsters. You can really just say, oh, this person is, she's important, and this lady is overly protective, and they grew up on a planet that was kill or be killed, so she can't really trust. That would have been fine. She doesn't need to turn into a wild thing.
I feel like they just want to really drive the fact that she is different and she can't really associate, which doesn't mean anything because they're playing relationships. No, I was even thinking about Captain Kirk, laying with other alien women.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it matter? Except for we realize that Wesley's a racist.
Yeah, we do find out Wesley's a racist, but other than that, yeah.
He's like, you're not human. It's like, well, she could turn into one, so why isn't that good enough for you?
Yeah, I agree. Fuck, I had something I was going to say.
We're so lost.
Oh, yeah, so
there's so many better things I want to talk about than this awful.
I know, me too. That's realistically, I mean, we summed it up at the beginning. There's not a whole lot to talk about this episode because it's a structurally sound episode, as in there's nothing out of the blue that's just like comically doesn't make sense. It's a functional story. It's stupid because no one likes Wesley, and there's some unnecessary and weird elements in it. But overall, it's not broken, so we can't pick apart the logic, nor is it good, so we can't praise it. So I suggest we do what we do best, which is nitpick little tiny things in it, because I have lots of things I want to nitpick.
Let's go.
Why does they never eat chocolate mousse with spoons? Why are they always fucking ordering it with no spoons and sticking their fucking fingers in it?
Do you ever think that's the way you're supposed to do it?
I don't think that's the way you're supposed to do it. No, I think you're supposed to eat it with a fucking spoon.
Well, I've been to France, Alex. And when I
this
had
is not French chocolate mousse. He says it's from some other planet.
I had it with amaretto, and I ate it with the spoon.
That sounds delicious. But
it's delicious,
this is from a different planet.
Yeah. If you ever been to France, you'd like, wow, this is a different planet.
So got a nitpick there.
Yeah. Spoons, weird. Eat your dessert with a spoon.
The whole scene in the holodeck. I'm not sure I understand the science of how in a vacuum of space you can hear the harmonies of the nebula line up.
You're such a goddamn nerd.
You'd hear nothing. There's no...
I know you would. But you're supposed to suspend disbelief for a moment.
I will do no such thing.
Also, I hate the holodeck.
Okay. I'll defend the holodeck here a little bit. There's nothing really wrong with its use in this episode, right? It's like a 2-second scene where he's trying to illustrate all the wonders of the universe that she's never known because she grew up on one planet and is going to die on a different one planet. That's fair, I'd say.
Yeah, I get that. It's like a cute romantic thing.
It's the Aladdin scene where he's flying her around on a magic carpet. He's showing her the world.
To show you the world soon. Show you the world.
That being said, it was just awkward as all hell, and Wesley's like, "This is my favorite place."
I thought the dialogue in this episode was just a little like, what did I write down in my notes?
You wrote down that they don't talk like
what I read
humans.
to you, I texted you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's talking like a human person would talk to each other.
And you're completely right. I don't understand, especially when Picard goes, "I don't normally interfere with the relations of my crew, but I must request for you not to talk to Saria or Celia, or whatever her name is." And Saria is the girl from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, so Celia. And Wesley just stands there for like an uncomfortable 7 or 8 seconds of just saying nothing and just looking around, and then he goes, "I will do as you request, sir." Just say okay. Why'd you have to make it sound stupid? Star Trek. So yeah, no.
I don't know.
He didn't.
They'll know what they want.
Wesley is the king of of just not knowing what to say at any time about anything.
Now, is that Will Wheaton's fault or the characters?
Oh, it's the writing, 100%. They didn't at the point when he kisses the girl Celia and she turns into a monster and Anya monster fight and they both come in and she goes, "I told you to stay away from her." Anyone with half a brain would say, "Excuse me, she came to my room. She wants to be with me. Talk to her, and she has agency. She sought me out." That's what you say. You don't sit there at the wall and say nothing like a guilty person would. So yeah, Wesley's just stupid, and it's not Will Wheaton's fault that they didn't write him. The line, there was no, instead of lines, it just says stare awkwardly and do nothing.
Now, how does he feel about this? I feel like I've mentioned this before, but just kind of knowing Wesley more, how does he feel about the character that he had to portray?
Will Wheaton understands some of the disdain towards Wesley. He acknowledges that he's a bit of a Mary Sue, so to speak, and he understands why fans dislike him. That being said, he also has sort of a complex relationship with the show in general, because I want to say at the end of the 3rd season he leaves the show. That's because his character goes to Starfleet Academy, so there's a pretty good reason in show for it. But Will Wheaton was concerned that he's like, "I'm not really doing anything as an actor here. All I'm doing is spouting off." He becomes more of a crewman in season 3, so he actually just says impulse power, blah, blah, blah. He just sort of spouts technobabble. And so he was feeling rather self-conscious about the fact that, am I really being an actor and am I showcasing my acting skills, or am I just spouting off technobabble to support what is ultimately Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, and Brent Spiner? Because those become the 3 big characters that everyone likes and have very strong personalities. And he later said down the line, "I regret that I didn't have the maturity to understand that that's what everyone on the show was doing, and that Patrick Stewart is the star. So of course he's going to have the most, sort of
Lines.
the most lines and the deepest characters because he's the star of the show, and that everyone that's a supporting actor is literally a supporting actor." So he does sort of feel regret that he didn't have the maturity at the time to sort of recognize that, but he also understands that his character was never really popular to begin with. So it's complex.
There's no reason to fight for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like he was a fan favorite and he rejects it, nor is it the other way around where everyone hated him and he's like, "No, I stand by everything." He recognizes the flaws of Wesley, and he also had some personal insecurities at the time as well. Yeah, which is, show business is very stressful. You know, acting, it's kill or be killed in the acting world. I'm not an actor, so I can't speak to that. But from everything I hear, it's a very difficult career mentally. It's very taxing because you don't have a steady job, and so on top of that, being a teenager, I could imagine it was a very mentally taxing time for it.
Makes
so
sense.
I give him, I'll give him that one. I trust his reasoning, but like, you can still eat moose with a fucking spoon, guy.
Yeah, you think that was a creative decision?
I think that was a thing where they're like, all right, they were focusing on the replicator shot that no one realized that there was no spoon there, and they're just like, fuck it, roll with it. We already did the effect, and they're like, all right. That's my theory, is that no one realized it because they were too busy thinking about how to do the effect.
We should go to a Comic-Con with Willoughby and give him a spoon.
We should. Bring Chong Moose
We should get an engraved spoon from us and give it to him.
from your friends at Our Favorite Frontier. Never eat moose with a finger again.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I kind of want those in my own collection.
Our Favorite Frontier spoons. www.nerdyinc.com/merchandise. That's not a real URL address, but there will be, and you can buy engraved spoons there for Our Favorite Frontier.
I thought Ball Pit was going to get the first merchandise.
Oh, there may or may not already be ball pit merchandise. You just haven't seen the episode yet.
Oh dear. I thought I was there first.
Nope. Ball pit's always there first.
Well, I guess we have a plethora of merchandise to sell.
We do indeed. And we have
along with Smash Cinema shot glasses.
I can't wait. I should do it.
Yeah, we're going to kill it.
Any other points you want to make?
No.
I agree. This episode was the blast of blah. However, next week, we will be watching the episode Contagion.
Ooh. Does it feature Cajun food?
No.
I don't feel like I'm going to be interested then.
You understand I said the word contagion, right?
Cajun food.
Okay, good.
But catfish.
I don't
Old Bay
much care for Cajun food, and I like most cuisine. Cajun.
What are you talking about?
Cajun.
What are you talking about?
I don't particularly care for Cajun food.
Why?
I don't just the gumbos. It's all. I don't know. I don't really care for it.
It's a soup consistency with sausage, chicken, and shrimp, and it's spicy. And you're telling me you don't think that's good?
I'm not a big soup guy in general.
I'm not a big soup guy either, but gumbo's gumbo.
I understand. I just don't really.
What about a po' boy?
Yes, I do enjoy a po' boy, but isn't that a little bit
catfish?
Do
you like catfish?
Not particularly.
Really?
And that'll give us that, and that'll come up because that'll come up quite frequently in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, because Captain Benjamin Sisko is born and raised in New Orleans, and his father owns a Cajun restaurant that we visit on several occasions in Deep Space Nine.
I like you said we, like you're part of the show.
So join us next week when we talk about Contagion. If you've enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff is much appreciated, and we will see you next time.
I will eat a po' boy next episode.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo, and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.